You're live.
Hello there, everybody. This is Jesse Romero. I am the captain of the Call of Duty varsity team over at Dunwoody College of Technology. This is Hawk Talk number 10. I got on the old Hawk Talk here, Dillon Pomeroy from Version1 and Rokkr, and I'm excited to get to know you a little more today.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, let's briefly have you introduce yourself and explain your main role at Version1.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Dillon Pomeroy. I am partnerships manager at Version1 and Minnesota Rokkr. We're separate entities, though we do operate under the same umbrella. So I do specify Version1 is our Rocket League and our Valorant entities, and then Rokkr is obviously our Minnesota title. We're owned by the Wilfs and operate here in Minnesota and across the Midwest. So appreciate you having me on, though, Jesse. And yeah, a little bit about me there, and just my role in general is working with brands specifically, as well as colleges like yourself and high schools across the region.
Yeah, it's amazing that I'm able to talk with you today, and I feel very humbled on the fact that you're able to be here today.
Oh, thank you. That's no worries, man. No, my pleasure, truly.
So, what kind of led you into the field of gaming and esports?
Yeah. So originally out of college, I got my degree from University of Wisconsin Eau Claire. I got a marketing and sales degree. And as most college individuals do, I sort of felt my way around, entry level jobs, and I got into marketing and I got into sales. And eventually, I ended up actually starting my own business. I did a few different roles, different marketing roles, and I realized I was sort of doing something that I was passionate about already. So why not do it at my own level? So I started my own consulting firm. I worked as an agency, sort of as a middleman for startups. I worked in the cannabis industry for a while, the gambling industry, startup and tech, which eventually led me to esports, which is another kind of like fringe industry, of course. So at the time I was traveling, I was in Colorado, I was in California where I had clients, and I heard rumblings of Minnesota getting a Call of Duty League team, and I had to throw my hat in the ring. So I actually didn't get hired in the first round of hiring, and I got brought on as a consultant. I was employee like number 8 or 9, and here we are today. 3, 4 years later. So interesting route into esports, though. Looking at what I was kind of working in, probably on par for what I was doing at the time.
Yeah, well, the esports scene is insane right now. There's so much to be made, so much to be had. I just love the atmosphere. I love everything that brings to the table. It's such a great experience.
Agreed. Hard agree.
Yeah. And then, so what about your day-to-day responsibilities today with Version1? Like, what kind of responsibilities do you have today?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, having a marketing background, it was a bit interesting to get into a role that's partnerships oriented rather than marketing oriented. I do think all of us, students, entry level employees, executives, whatever, have a little bit of a background in marketing, whether or not they like to admit it. I think a lot of us do, whether that's the brand side, whatever it might be there. So I take that same approach with my current role, especially on the partnership side. Day to day, we are working with our clients, of course. We work directly with brands and then execute brands' deliverables within our teams and our players. So that's a majority of my day and my time. Most of the other part of it is honestly, though, like trying to work with colleges. A lot of it is very much like quote unquote pro bono work. I'm very much like communicating with high schools, with colleges, doing things like this where I speak about my role and mention to people that, I don't have another job. This is my job. I don't play professionally. I wish I did. But this
Don't
is
we
my
all?
role. Yeah, like my dad still thinks I'm a pro Call of Duty player, I'm pretty sure. And I have to mention that I'm just a partnerships manager, though. What I find a lot of humility in, and especially these types of conversations, is that I'm just a guy that wanted a job in this industry and worked hard to get there, and I'm proud of where I am. So I want to share with others, whether it's students or other people trying to break into the industry, that this is a viable thing. That staffing is a real thing. You can have a role in production, in events, in whatever it might be, partnerships like me, whatever it might be. So that's sort of my role, and honestly, what I get pretty juiced up talking about.
Yeah, it's getting me all hot and bothered over here because I've never thought I'd be a part of an esports scene of any form. I was always since the early times of playing games and whatnot, and trying to play competitively at like my younger years, like in 2012, 13, 14. I thought I was like gonna do something, and then nothing happened. And then I'm like, I'm just gonna be a normal guy. And then all of a sudden, the esports stuff started happening over at Dunwoody. Just as soon as I started going to school, and I'm like, all right, I gotta be a part of this. This is a catalyst. It's it's insane to me that I'm even a part of an esports scene.
Oh, it's
Period.
perfect. It's perfect. I agree. I think I was like a little bit off, I like to say on all these types of things that every high school and every college right now has an esports program, whether or not they know it, is the difference. So to have something formidable like you guys have and have some structure around it, is pretty incredible. So I'm technically jealous of you, and I definitely am envious of the fact of what you guys are working on there. You should be very proud.
Yeah, I love every bit of it, and that's why I'm here today, and that's why we're talking today. Like this would have never happened with me and you talking; it'd be somebody else. But I'm so happy that I'm able to be a part of this.
Love it.
So, like, when you manage like your relationships and organizational partners, like, how does that go about? Like, how do you manage all them working pieces that are going on?
Yeah, great question, and a very question I don't get often. So it is pretty interesting. Again, part of what I found interesting, I guess, in my background specifically with coming from marketing, is that a lot of us are built to expand brands, right? Like a lot of us are built in professional roles to work in socials or to grow socials. To do content, maybe it's writing, maybe it's blogging, maybe it's production, anything like that. What partnerships does is sort of blends that between definitely marketing and partnerships, obviously, but also like the client building and then what they're trying to do with their brand. So ironically, a lot of why I moved into this role was I'm a very relationships driven individual. I love meeting people. I love chatting esports. We had talked right before hopping on about your attendance to something like the major or the home series. And what I found in that role and with what I do now is a lot of this comes from education. Working with clients, especially clients that aren't in the space, what we call non-endemic, or the individuals like a USAA Insurance or Bush's Beans, some of these clients we've worked with in the past that aren't necessarily in the esports space, but want to reach an audience, and an audience that's really open to hearing from brands like this. They want to feel empowered. They want to feel like their passion, in this case, Rocket League or Call of Duty or whatever it might be, there's a certain amount of genuine and tradition that goes along with seeing sponsors attached to a brand. So that's our role, is to bring in individuals like that or brands like that. So when it comes to building client relationships, a lot of it comes from education. But then the next part of it is really fun. It's a lot of intercommunication, interdepartment communication where let's say a client wants to have some content. Maybe it's with players, maybe it's a set segment that's content related, maybe it's TikTok specific, hitting Gen Z, and maybe there's posts like game days or stats or something like that. My job is to be the middleman to make sure that our client's getting what they need and they're happy with the product that's going out, while also communicating internally and making sure everyone's happy that they're getting what they want from the brand side. So it's sort of like a glorified, happy middleman, because I do think, again, I like building relationships. I like keeping people happy. At the same time, it's a lot of deliverables and making it all come together, which is obviously important.
I do like that. I love talking with people, networking, going out there and seeing people light up whenever you talk about like esports or even just like a topic that they're interested in, that you find that's interesting as well. Just any type of topic. It
Totally agree.
feels amazing.
There's no better feeling than seeing someone wearing like your favorite org at an airport and like going up to, talk some crap with them and sit there. It's such a fulfilling feeling. So I definitely get you there. Totally
Yeah.
vibe with you there.
Have you ever had any times where the relationships did not, like, you got that vibe of like the relationship's not going to work, or like the organization that you're trying to talk to is not going to like work with you?
Yeah, I'll be honest, like nothing comes to mind immediately because again, with my role, it's to figure out how to make everything work, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise.
Hmm.
I think it's a very fair question though, and I think a lot of times what does happen again is I'm going to keep saying that word educate. sometimes it's not what they're looking for, so we pivot the ideas. Sometimes they think we're like a TikTok house. A brand might think we're like a content house where
Yeah.
there's people just sitting around, it's six deep in a bed, like bedroom doing gaming and posting videos. Not necessarily the case with us. Obviously, we're a full-fledged org. Our primary emphasis is competitive integrity. We're trying to win championships. That's plain and simple our goal. So again, that's different than some orgs that are maybe like tons and tons of content creators with tons and tons of views or whatever. So I wouldn't say that any come to mind where we either did something they didn't like or vice versa. But the communication is really important, that we're being really transparent with how we would get to their goals, or wouldn't get to their goals based on what they're asking about.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. If you're able to make an audible right off the bat, and you'll be able to appeal to whatever they want and make it work, 9 times out of 10, it's going to work.
Absolutely.
You're going to
Again,
have a person that's happy.
That's the job. That's the job. If it doesn't look, you have to make it look like what they wanted it to look like, whether or not it looks like it. That's totally the job.
Yeah. Yeah. So another question I got for you is, how do you see the role of partnerships evolving in esports? Like, how do you feel like the organizations and like the relationships and like the overall, like, do you feel it like it's going to evolve into something greater than just people playing video games?
Yeah. I'll answer your question in a couple different ways, because I think there are two parts to it, especially with that last little part you added on. The role of partnerships in esports is at this point, it's super important. It's almost entirely crucial to an org and its health, longevity, everything like that. Org dollars, come in through things like sponsorships, merchandising, IP rights, ticketing for events, which again is something we take a lot of pride in, especially live events and in-person events for our fans. What partnerships has the ability to do and to evolve with over the next, let's say a few years into the next decade, is continuing to educate, continuing to bring brands into the space, helping them feel safe and secure. And like, this is something that's formidable. With that comes things like tracking and analytics. Like, one thing I always like to talk about with a client, let's say, is, let's say it's a big Fortune 500 type company that might do NFL ads or MLB ads, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times that's going to be commercials, right? Or in-venue advertising, like something you might see in a stadium. Those are almost immediately two things that esports doesn't have. So what I like to mention is that if you're doing a commercial, you're smatting this thing in between an HVAC, commercial and a local news station trailer or commercial. With esports, you can have it be hyper focused on an audience. You can have it catered to someone or something. It's highly specialized. We almost act as our own agency too, which is really rare. We make our own content. So long story short, like, big things in the partnership world, we have an ability to streamline those things over the next decade. Let's say, bring other partners in that may not understand the space. I mentioned Bush's Beans. I have something back here somewhere of like one of those things I worked on, but what's special about them is they were just open to working with it and had never advertised to Gen Z before. So two things that are really ripe for the taking. And they saw a lot of success, obviously, because it's a memorable thing, which is very important in esports. It felt genuine, which I've mentioned before is really important. It needs to feel genuine. And then the last thing is, like, it's something that they had never tried before, but felt like they could trust us to deliver on it. And we did, and it was, an exciting time. So all those things put together, partnerships has a big role in the growth of esports, alongside things like merchandising, IP, ticketing, that type of stuff.
It's kind of similar to like the older commercials that you had for the Call of Duties, where they got all those big actors and they reenacted like for the Call of Duty and that and Battlefield, and they get the
Totally the
sponsors for like that.
Totally the same. Getting more and more things like that. Even doing content with other traditional sports athletes, whatever it might be, I think helps a lot. So those things are something that I always think about too.
It's so cool that like, you just put a couple things together and you got the esports, you get a couple more things together, you have the industry, and then once you get the partnerships, once people understand where it's at, everybody else is just going to flood in. It's going to be the floodgates. They're going to be.
I agree.
It's going to be insane.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, it's similar. I mean, it's almost hard to get into NFL sponsorship now because a lot of deals are 5 to 10 years. Like we're going to see more and more and more and more things like that, which are really exciting. So I totally agree, man. Totally agree.
So I'm going to pivot a little bit here with a different type of question here.
Yeah.
So what does your background in marketing and sales help you with your current role? Like what kind of things are able to be used from your previous marketing and sales?
Yeah, I love it. I love this question. Again, another one I haven't really gotten before. So I might skew a little bit away from esports in how I approach this question, but honestly, I think it's extremely applicable to college students, entry level individuals. Something that I was told, especially when I was in sales, was just the overall like almost Dwight Schrute energy of like keeping it simple, keep it simple,
Yeah.
stupid. You know, you've
Yeah.
probably heard that
I
Schrute-ism.
literally just used that phrase today.
It is a beautiful thing. It is something that is used in everything from planning my day out to meetings to setting agendas. There's a beauty in simplicity, and I think that's a really big key, whether it's working in esports or in any professional role. And in that same vein, being confident. I think a lot of individuals are getting out of college right now or are getting out of high school and getting into the workforce and feel the intimidation of being the young gun, but also are getting like gassed up, like they're so savvy and they're so young. Like, I wish I could do this. One thing I had someone tell me when I was young was like, you're only the young, kid on the block until you're not. And it's
Yep.
an interesting way I thought about things when I was, again, 23, 24, 25 and on is like, take those years and, always be keeping in mind when you go into any role, obviously this type of thing, but those years are really important for like listening, learning, taking mentorship, listening to the people above you and what they do and mimicking how they do things. I think that's a really big thing. And so what I mean by like keeping that confidence and staying the young gun as long as you can while working your way towards the old wise man type of thing is don't think you're going to be young forever, because all of a sudden you'll be 30, like me, and I'm 31 now. I just turned 31 a couple
I'll
weeks
be
ago.
30 this year. Yep.
Right. And I think we're still young. I think there's a
Yeah.
joke in esports that feels old, but all of a sudden I think people think they get old when they're 23, 24, 25. And what they need to do is stay young, stay nimble, keep learning, trust the process, trust the journey. So those types of things, though those aren't specific marketing or sales tactics by any means, keeping things simple and being confident in your role and in your age is something that really is something that I've implemented in my career for sure.
It's like the Bear Grylls saying, improvise, adapt, overcome. I think it
Overcome,
was.
right?
Yeah, it's
That's
every
right.
time. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. Work
Beautiful.
with your elders. Learn everything that you can before you're all of a sudden the elder and you can't pass it down anymore. Like
Absolutely.
you can't pass down what knowledge you don't want to listen to. Like you got to listen to everything you listen to nowadays. And if you're 19, 20, 21 years old, yeah, you might be super confident. And you're like, I got this. I don't need any help. But listening to the guys that have been around, doing it 15 years, even 10 years, 20 years, even. They're even like 30, 32, even 40, 50. They know what's going on. They know the deal. You listen to them, you understand them, and then you'll be that guy that's able to give in return.
And you're hopefully cool. That's the key too,
Yeah.
is
Yeah, and
always being
cool.
kind, always being kind, coming from a place of kindness and listening. I totally agree though. Totally agree.
Yeah, because I'm looking behind you and you got all those little trinkets and stuff, which is really cool. I love it. I
Got
love all that
yep,
stuff.
all my stuff.
Man.
That's right. That's right.
So like what are your future goals or aspirations in your role with version 1? Like what do you think? What's your future goals going on there?
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Honestly, I do. I'm a very goal-driven individual. I mentioned, starting a business and, working through things. I do believe heavily in personal, professional, fitness, and financial goals. Like, I think people should have spiritual goals, all those types of things as well. When it comes
Yep.
to my professional role, one thing that I've always set out to do, and that we were even talking about before we hopped on the call, is just how much rejuvenation, how much energy I get from working with students. There's such a life and a vibe that I get from talking with students that I really, really am conscious of. And so one goal I have specifically is like, I would love to be some sort of adjunct professor someday. I would love to work with students directly at colleges. I love talking about my story because, for one, I was a decent student. Things came easy to me in high school and in college, which is definitely a blessing, of course, but is also a burden in some senses because I was never challenged to fail and find something that I needed to not fail at. I liked doing things that I was good at. So in that case, I just followed the easy path, which is, I highly would recommend not doing that. And so with this type of role and with my goals is, teaching scares me. Being in front of people doesn't scare me as much, but being in charge of molding or helping to mold someone's life is a big part. I have goals within the esports space as well, like landing bigger and better clients, growing roles, but those are boring. Those are specific. And that's something that I should be doing as I get better at my job every day. So the big one is definitely, you guys can hold me accountable, but working towards my MBA and working towards teaching someday would be an absolute dream.
That would be pretty cool. I didn't think about that dynamic because, like, I always thought my whole life I was gonna be in manufacturing until all of a sudden 9 months ago, 10 months ago, I was like, I woke up one day, I was like, I don't like this. I'm gonna go to college. I need something challenging in my life. And now 2 semesters in, and I'm on the esports and everything. And once I challenged myself, I felt rejuvenated, like being able to challenge. And I always thought, no, I'm never going to be good at college. I'm never going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to get through this curriculum. And then here we are. And once you challenge yourself, that's what I always say. Just always take the challenge, take the hard road, and you'll find that you'll be more happy on the top.
I love that. That's inspiration to me, man. If you can go back to school, if you can do some school, if you can do extra school, like that's definitely a motivation to me. So I appreciate you mentioning that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a rough road, I can tell you that.
I love it. I love it.
So, like, what kind of advice would you give to someone looking to enter in the gaming industry? Like, just specifically, like your role or any supporting roles around you. Like, what kind of input would you state?
Yes. This question I do get a decent amount. And one thing that I will always, 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 always say, fortunately or unfortunately, it is very much relationship driven. Meeting with people. If anyone has ever heard me on any sort of discussion or podcast before, I literally always say it goes down in the DMs. Like, send DMs, message people on LinkedIn, like literally look through people's networks. And if you like a job or like what someone does, talk with them, bug the absolute crap out of them, meet with them, have coffees with them, chat with them in Discord, ask them questions, send her articles. Like, find people you look up to, emulate, want to do things with, for, against, whatever it might be, and really, really, really work hard at it. I also say that this industry does not run on passion, unfortunately. So tempering the fact of like, you're passionate about this industry, you're a fan of something, you want to grow this industry with the actual opportunities there, and you're going to have a really nice blend of true professionalism, savvy skills. Esports is one of the only industries where the executives may not know as much as the entry level individuals, whether it's Discord or moderating chat. There are real ways to get real world experience for, creators, streamers, whatever it might be, without even entering an org, that is going to give you long term value. So it goes down to the DMs, send people DMs, network with people, talk to professors, go to random places where gaming is taking place, go to events, shake hands. That is my overarching advice to people trying to break in the industry, let's say, because it can be daunting, it can be confusing, and it can seem like layoffs are happening. It can seem like people aren't hiring. It can seem like all these things. But I promise you, brands are always hiring, orgs are always hiring, things are settling, people are leaving, people are coming. So highly recommend meeting with people. I interact with people all the time. I'm always happy to chat. Chatting with Jesse, chat with Eric, like these types of people like you guys that have roles in the industry, easiest way to at least get your foot in the door.
I completely agree. That's what 2 months prior to the end of my semester, I was shotgunning my resume to like 10 to 12 people, and then following up with an email a couple of days later. And then that's how I get to where I'm at today. I just did my first day of internship today because I made sure
Amazing.
to solidify, to make sure to follow up. Hey, thank you for the interview. Thank you for this, or thank you for getting coffee with me. I really appreciate your time. And it really goes that extra mile, just reaching out and just consistently letting them know that you are engaged. You want to succeed.
That's a key word there too, is the engaged side. I think don't go to people and ask for jobs. Go to people with genuine interest, and like you said, be engaged. I love when a conversation, if someone brings set questions, like great, that's totally fine. Doing things like this. I love discussions where we talk and we go back and forth. What I don't like is when people hit me up and say any job openings available, any job openings available. Like apply to a job and then hit me up, or apply to a job and then DM me. I think there's so much more. It's so much more tact. There's so much more vibe to it when it's a good practice again for the lower level or the entry level type jobs to do things like that. So being engaged is an absolute key, and I really appreciate when people are. That's a huge one.
Yeah, being engaged. And with my former prior to going to college, I was a shift lead, and I'd always look at applicants all the time. But 9 times out of 10, nobody's following up. Nobody is engaged. Nobody is taking the 2 minutes to send another email or the 5 minutes to talk with somebody to further solidify their 1-page resume of them working at Taco Bell. Like it could be them if they want to be really involved with being at a company, like they can just follow up. Eventually it's going to be like, hey, this guy's got dedication. He wants the job.
Right.
Let's give him a try. Let's give him a shot.
I love that. It's so true. It's so true.
And I was like, yeah. And I'm so glad that Dunwoody gave me a shot. And you're at Version1 Rokkr, which I'm jealous of because I've been to the watch parties too as well. And it's an amazing setup, amazing atmosphere. Esports is just an amazing, amazing atmosphere. And I love where it's at today. And I can't wait to see what it is in like the next 10 to 12 years.
Agreed. Hard agreed.
But so you like gaming? You like playing some games? You're a gaming enthusiast. What kind of games do you like to play?
Oh, the dreaded question. So I'm at this crossroads right now. I'm at a crossroads. I am currently playing a lot of Apex. I love me some Apex. I love watching ALGS. I am in a weird spot with the ranked grind. Apex ranked is in a weird spot right now where it's just not quite hitting. However, I am an absolute sucker. I'm a Mirage main. I love my Apex. So I play that with my little brother too.
Main,
so,
yep.
And I love catching up with my little brother. So that's like the one time we really talk and get to hang out. So I play a lot of Apex. I play probably next most. I play a lot of Rocket League. And then third, I'm sort of like, I need a game where I don't get tilted on, and not that I'm super tilty. I'm very vibey. I promise. I'm very chill. But I need like a Spider-Man, a Red Dead, Cyberpunk, like those kind of games I pop in and out of.
Laid back kind of open worldy. You can lay back.
Exactly.
Chill out.
I want to get Zelda. I haven't got Zelda yet. I love Breath of the Wild, so I want to, play the new Zelda, but otherwise, that's kind of my gamut right there. What are you still running around COD right now? What is kind of your vibe?
I'm doing the Call of Duty mainly, and then the League of Legends. This is my second, and then third, I've been really grinding away at Path of Exile.
Okay.
I for some reason picked it up a couple weeks ago because I played it when it came out, and I was like, I'll give it a try again, and then it took off. I was like, all right. Way better than Diablo.
Oh, yeah. I remember Path of Exile now. I was like,
such an extensive passive tree, skill tree, and you got 10 acts to get through, and you got all these maps you can do, and all these cosmetic items you can get, and all of like the currency. The currency system in that game is bartering items. There's no currency. It's just bartering items.
Love
it's amazing.
That stuff. Yep, I love that. Will you be a Diablo guy when it comes out?
I probably will pick up Diablo 4 and get a couple playthroughs in on it. I could say that myself.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Then that I don't know if I will, but I do like the top-down vibes. I love like the ones you mentioned, like Path of Exile. What was that other one? Hades? Was that the other one that?
Hades is the one of those roguelike top down kind of
Yeah,
like that. Yeah, that's a good one too. I played a
I
lot of
enjoyed that
that.
one too. Yep,
Yeah, that
yep.
was a
That was a
good one.
long, maybe a year and a half ago, but yeah, I feel it. You got. I was about to ask if you had any mixed in that weren't tilt worthy, but I'm sure you
Yeah.
don't get tilted in League or anything like that. No
League is
shot.
a tilt-worthy game, and Call of Duty is even more tilt-worthy because they came out
Right.
about 3 or 4 months ago. They came out with a new implication of if a person leaves, the game ends and nobody gets rewarded
Fun, very fun.
in rank play. So it's been happening where we've been practicing, and 7 out of our 9 games, somebody left, and we don't get rank points to rank up and actually show our true rank.
Just kills you. Just kills you.
Yeah, it really just kills the vibe. Everybody's like, we just invested 25 minutes of time to what? Not get anything.
Right, not move.
Just because somebody rage quit.
Right.
So so what kind of personal interests do you have outside of gaming? Like what kind of stuff do you do outside of gaming?
Oh man, I am ironically love touching grass. I'm very outdoorsy. I camp, I hike. My fiance and I love to get out with our dogs. We do all sorts of stuff. We travel a lot too. We were just in Mexico. I went scuba diving. I'm a certified scuba diver, so I try to scuba when I can, if I can. You got a little. I think I got a little pick of me there, scuba
Yeah,
diving, and like I said, love just getting outside. Ironically, for a gamer, my time is split almost dead down the middle of like gaming when I can, and especially late at night. When it's light out or dark out, I can hang out inside and play. But I love getting outside. I bike a lot. I love to work out. I love to just like bike to a random lake, jump in, and then bike home. It's like one of my favorite things to do in Minnesota.
feels
So
nice. That
yeah,
sounds
yeah, it's
nice.
totally the vibe. But yeah, I love getting outside. Love kind of doing things like that, especially like I mentioned, I have personal and fitness goals that I like to maintain as well as like my professional stuff. So love getting outside. Absolutely.
Well, I feel like I've taken up a plenty of your time, so I'd like to wrap things up here. I
Yeah.
love to talk. I love to talk to you further, but yeah, the time is time, and so it was a pleasure to talk with you, Dylan, and I can't wait to talk to you again.
Yeah, Jesse, really appreciate the time. Again, my name is Dillon Pomeroy. I partnerships manager at Version1 in Minnesota Rokkr. People can, if they want to connect or talk with me at all, my LinkedIn is just / Dillon Pomeroy on LinkedIn. Otherwise, look me up. My name's right there. And then my Twitter, same thing, at Dillon Pomeroy. No joke. If people are watching this or whatever, if you've caught wind of this somehow, like DM me, like we can talk, we can hop in Discord. I love the 5, 10, 15-minute chats where it might just ground you. It might give you a little motivation. It might help you in a way. And I'm sure Jesse's in the same boat where if you're wanting to get involved at Dunwoody's program or other colleges, like please hit us up. I enjoy this stuff a lot. And Jesse, pleasure having some time with you, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'll see you around.
You got it, boss.